The views and opinions expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Nash Community College, the Board of Trustees of Nash Community College, or the North Carolina Community College System.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
And welcome to Talking Food with Chef Carlo.
And
I'm
tall, handsome Andrew. Without him, this wouldn't happen.
Stop.
It's okay. How you doing, guys? Today we're gonna do clam chowder.
Clam chowder.
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 We're gonna take the what is it?
Chowder.
But we're gonna.
What?
The Simpsons episode.
Oh, yeah, yes. I did not kill the woman with the clam chowder.
Okay, so let me show you how this is going to be set together. Actually, clam chowder I love it because it's a really easy dish, and it's gonna be easy to set up. And they're gonna let it simmer there, and we're gonna do a bunch of clam chowder jokes and a little Boston jokes.
And we're going to tell them the different types of clam chowder. So what type are we making today? Traditional
New England clam chowder.
There you go.
Butter, because we can.
Butter because we can.
Okay, so we're gonna start with a little butter. Now, most recipes don't call for onions. You gotta have some onions in there. So in this case, I'm gonna add a little bit of shallots. But why shallots, Chef Carlo? I like shallots because they're a little bit sweeter than regular onions. And I like to go with a mixture of half shallots, about 2 tablespoons of shallots,
okay,
and 2 tablespoons of regular onions.
There you go.
You can smell the onions.
Yes, you popped open the lid this morning. I was like, woohoo, onion.
Now, I cut them like really thin. Because
so it's a thin dice?
Well, yes, because it's really small dice, because we have only 30 minutes to make this happen.
Right?
I have only 30 minutes to make this happen. Otherwise, I would have cut them a little bit chunkier. So I start with whole butter. I don't need to have clarified butter for this. Clarified butter is when we remove the butter fat from the milk solids.
Okay.
If you're gonna cook on high heat, you don't wanna cook with butter because the milk solids will burn. Now, in the kitchen, restaurant, when you wanna cook something at high heat, you separate, clarify the butter. We actually have a great video at the...
We do, NCC Culinary. Look it up on YouTube, and there's a great instructional video on how to make clarified butter. Super easy.
Super easy. It's just, it takes a little bit of time because you need to...
But you can walk away from it. It's not like making risotto. You can actually walk away from it and let it do its thing.
Yeah, but walk away for like...
Not like a day or so.
Yeah, but just keep it at low heat. Make sure that it separates the fats from the milk, from the butter fat from the fat, and then you can use that for high temperature cooking. Like if you're gonna saute zucchini, you want to do it at high temperature heat with clarified butter, or mushrooms. But wait, can we use olive oil? I know, but butter is so much delicious.
But yes, you can use olive oil. So
since we're not gonna achieve any color change here, we're not gonna saute at a high heat. I'm gonna just use whole butter.
Okay.
And I want to just give it a kickstart to the onions. I'm not looking to look. I know.
That smells so good.
I'm not looking to cook the onion truly. I'm just looking to give a head start. Now, celery. About a cup of celery. I like celery. Now the celery I leave it chunky because I like that texture of the celery and the crunch.
One of them things that we'll show to them on the camera.
Oh, yes.
The dice.
Yes, the dice, of course.
This is the dice we're kind of looking at, and see if Adams can grab us there. Kind of a thick dice. You're looking at about 1/4 inch.
Yes. So that one I left it on purpose that thick because I want the celery at the end of the cooking process to be still a little bit of crunch in the center to give it texture.
Oh, there you go.
You might have some people that go like, oh no, you don't do that. I'm like, you know what? We're the one eating this.
Yes, and we can do whatever we want.
I know. But we want to stay true to the New England clam chowder. And it developed in New England, of course, in the city of Boston.
Boston.
And actually, here's a fun part. is being said that clam chowder developed back in the 1800s by the Catholic immigrants that didn't want to have fish on Fridays.
No, they wanted fish on Fridays.
Uh,
That's what the Catholics do.
Here, you
We eat-
speak.
We eat fish on Fridays. So, but you looked it up. But so traditionally, Catholicism it's a fish Friday. It's a no meat on Friday, and so the immigrants came over and went to Boston, and as everybody knows, Boston has a lot of Irish immigrants, and so they ended
and
up
clams
making,
are cheap,
and clams were cheap,
and potatoes
still
were
are.
cheap. So the Irish they mixed the potatoes with the very large abundance of clams and lobster. Believe it or not, lobster once upon a time back in the 1800s was consumed only by the peasants.
Yes, it was a poor man's food.
It was a poor man's food. Lobster was a poor man's food. It's like, oh my God, look, darling, they're eating lobster.
Yes.
They are poor people. Tables have turned.
Oh yes, they have.
Now it's like, oh my God. Okay, so this is the point. My onions are translucent, my celery is getting cooked. This is the point that the recipe calls to add flour into it. I want to keep it gluten-free. So I'm just going to keep cooking, and I'm going to use one of my new favorite starches, which is potato starch.
Great.
I've been thickening lately with potato starch. I've been thickening lately with potato starch, cassava starch, and even chickpea flour.
And because you have a family member who is gluten-free, and so do I. And
Two
I'm
of
sure
them.
there's a lot of people out there who are gluten-free, so this is a great substitute.
So this is the way it's going to look. Not too much color. We got it there. It's just cooking. So now, what do we add now?
We're gonna add our,
See if you remember.
I don't remember actually. Oh, our chicken stock.
Chicken stock. And this is, I know we usually use the organic chicken stock base, but this is something we made, our students made in school, and it was really good. So I want to add about 3 cups of chicken stock into the mix.
And I can't remember. Do we have a vignette on chicken stock? I think
No, we don't.
We don't have any stocks on there.
No, we don't have any stocks. I was trying to find a glass pot that we can see the process,
That's
even
what it was.
consomme.
Right.
So we go back to the clam chowder.
Clam
Okay,
chowder,
so
I didn't mean to shift gears.
no, sorry. So chicken stock. After the chicken stock, we get them in there. We're gonna bring it to a boil. We're gonna add before we bring it to a boil, we're gonna add your potatoes. I like to start the potatoes in cold water.
Let me grab a couple of those dice so we can show them all.
Okay,
Because
so
you have 2 types of dice in here.
2 type of dice.
Grab that one right there. So we have a good. So here, Adam, if you'll come over right here. So you did 2 types of dice. You've got about a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick dice, and then you have smaller dices. And why?
Because the smaller dice will cook before the big dice. By cooking before the big dice, it will basically dissolve inside of your stock. It will start dissipating, and it will start help you thicken the stock without the addition of more starches.
Exactly. So you got a natural thickener by.
National thickener. Now there's some recipes that call here.
Oh, put it in.
It's okay, put it in there. Your hands are clean, and then it's gonna boil and kill any kind of germ there is in there.
I don't know. I have to get some.
There's some recipes that
I don't know what kind of germs.
there are some recipes that call for you to take an immersion blender, a stick blender, and kind of puree your soup halfway. That will also get it nice and thick.
Okay.
Today I'm gonna choose to do it with potato starch because we can. I don't like to
Blend things.
blend things.
No, I like it. The texture. It's in a traditional soup. It's always nice to have a little bit of texture.
Now we're gonna add clams.
Aha, clams.
Well, how come they're not fresh, Chef Carlo? Because we didn't have time to shuck a bunch of clams.
We didn't have time to run down to the
To the
seashore.
So I like to use the juice of the clams. Of course, it gives them some saltiness. As you can see right now, I have not given any salt or pepper to this dish.
Right.
Now, I like a load of clams. So the recipe calls for 2 20-ounce cans, two 10-ounce cans. I use 3 10-ounce cans.
You went 30 ounces of clams.
Oh, baby, yes. Look at that. That's fishy. I don't like those recipes that you take a soup spoon and there is about 1 clam floating with a bunch of potatoes. I like almost like a 60% potato to 40% clam.
He's
As
all
you
about
can-
the ratios.
It's all about the ratio, because I got bacon in my head. See,
I always have bacon in my head. said baking.
Baking, as in
It
the
came across
profession.
to me as bacon.
Well, also we got bacon, and this is it, ladies and it's almost like a one-pot meal.
It is.
Like, wow. Now, a lot of the now,
You're gonna add some salt.
well, now I'm gonna add some salt, but before I do that,
Taste it.
I want to taste it. But wait, it's not hot yet. Flavors haven't
Now,
developed, but
is your homemade broth, or I'm sorry, your homemade stock, has it been salted at all?
never.
Just has the mirepoix in there.
Yes, when you make stock at home, you never want to salt it because you're gonna use that to do something else. You're gonna use it to make a risotto. You're gonna use it to make a clam chowder. So
Polenta.
you never polenta. Oh,
Yeah, you can put it in polenta. That was good, wasn't it?
you can get good polenta, not the stuff that are being served lately in
No, good.
some restaurants.
Check out last week's episode for amazing polenta.
And so to make stock, I teach this formula to the students, and this works with any kind of animal protein. Is I use a little percentage formula, which is we say 100% water, 50% bones, 10% mirepoix. What it translates to, let's say you have 10 pounds of bones, you will use 20 pounds of water, and you will use 2 pounds of mirepoix based on the water. But wait a minute, 20 pounds of water?
20 pounds.
20 pounds of water.
Right.
How do you measure 20 pounds of water?
You pick up your phone and you ask it, you know, how many gallons is 20 pounds of water?
Well, it is usually is a pint is a pound all the world around. Water.
Pint is a pound.
Water. So
water.
a pint of water is usually a pound of water.
Gotcha.
Now, it doesn't apply for oil because it has more density and it's heavier, or honey, because you're always going to have the person, what about honey? It's not, it's like, we're talking
It's a
about
lot
water.
thicker.
Water. That's it. Okay, so this is your traditional clam chowder. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. That's it. It has a nice, look at that, a nice ratio of stock to
To clam, to
clams,
potato.
to potatoes.
Yes.
And now, check this out.
So is clam chowder traditionally, is it a soup or more of a stew?
Both.
Aha.
Ah.
Is there in between? Is there a word in between soup and stew?
Okay, here's the thing. A stew. Let's start with that roast, braise in a stew. When you stew, the theory is a stew is a dish in which the protein has been seared or browned, and then it's being cooked under some kind of cover with a lot of moisture.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's a stew. Now, between the stew and a braise is a big hunk of meat that has been browned to. Let's say you do a chuck roast. You can take the whole chuck roast, you sear it, you brown the outside, you put the mirepoix. That's a braise. It's a big piece of meat. Once you cut into small little pieces, that's a stew.
That's a stew.
So we haven't browned any potatoes. We haven't browned any protein in this one.
Right,
So technically, it's not a stew.
Can't call it a stew.
No, it's like the difference between baking and roasting.
Right.
Definition of baking, to surround an item with hot air. Definition of roasting, to surround an item with hot air. What's the difference between baking and roasting? It's basically the word that you use in it. So when you make bread, you don't go like, I'm gonna roast bread. Would you like to roast bread with me?
No, because nobody says I'm roasting some bread.
Or I'm gonna roast a cake.
No, I've never said that either.
No, but what is the theory? You're gonna put the cake in the oven
And you're gonna surround it with hot air.
and you're gonna surround it with hot air.
There you go.
So what happens is the term baking applies for non-savory items,
Aha.
and the term roasting applies for savory items.
Gotcha. So yeah, that makes sense.
But what about if I'm making empanadas?
Right.
Are you baking empanadas or roasting empanadas?
Roasting, because they're a savory item.
No, actually, you bake them.
Oh. I'm so confused.
Oh, I'm gonna roast empanadas, and people will go like, "What? You're gonna what?" Well, actually, the term is used correctly. You can, if you want to confuse some people, you can do so.
Just switch out the words.
You switch out the words.
Yeah.
But
I'm roasting cookies today.
yeah, so roast also applies for big pieces of meat, like like the ribeye, my favorite cut of meat is I'm gonna roast a ribeye.
Right.
Can you say I'm gonna bake a ribeye?
Yeah, if you want to, but
If you want to,
technically it doesn't apply. But.
Yeah. So
But I was gonna say, you and I had a great conversation, and this is the stuff I learn from this guy every Tuesday. So tune in because you're gonna learn something new. So
you want to learn something new?
No, I did. I learned
you wanna learn
something new.
something
And we're
new?
gonna tell them what I learned new because.
Well, hold on. You know what this is?
This is roasted corn.
Roasted corn. Is it traditional on your clam chowder?
No.
Did it come across me yesterday and I roasted the corn?
Yes.
It,
And I'm gonna put it in our soup.
yeah. But first of all, let's let it come to a boil.
Okay. So
Okay.
we were talking before the show. We were talking about. Well, I mean, it goes along with stews versus soups, right? So we were talking about can you make a bisque? Can you make a clam chowder bisque? And he said,
Okay, a bisque.
yeah, this is really interesting. I blew my mind this morning.
And this is something that I try to make clear all the time. The definition of a bisque is a shellfish-based soup, period.
There you go.
What do you mean? Oh, tomato. Oh, I went to Whole Foods and they have a tomato bisque. Does it have shellfish? No. So no.
No. So it's not really. It's more of a tomato
Soup. So bisque only applies to shellfish.
But bisque sounds so much better. It's more of a marketer sort of thing.
It's a marketing gig, like shellfish, like shrimp. Take the shrimp, you peel the shrimp with those shells, then you're gonna saute it, you add some mirepoix, you add some fish stock, you're gonna make a bisque. Lobster shells, you can make a lobster bisque shell. Crabs, after you pound the crabs, and do you like crabs?
I love them.
God bless you.
They're so amazing.
I mean, an animal that needs a hammer to be eaten. The crab doesn't want to get eaten.
At all.
At all. It hides, it walks backwards, it has a hard shells, and yet we as humans go like, I'm gonna take this hammer
And beat this
and
animal.
beat this animal to pulp, so then I can get into the little crevices and just like with a toothpick pull out the 0.5 ounces of meat that I can get out of this crab.
Yes. Amazing. We evolved to create the hammer just
Again,
to eat the crab.
you want crabs? I'll make him. I'll cook him for you. I'll applaud you. I'll go have me a hamburger. Now you can take. I'll take the crabs. I love blue shell crabs. They're in season right now. Not the soft ones.
No.
Now, soft shell crabs. Those are delicious.
Yes, to fry them up.
Fry them up in clarified butter. That's great. Now, the crabs. You can take the crab. Boil them first, crack them with a hammer, saute them in clarified butter, add mirepoix, add a good stock, either chicken stock or fish stock, and now you're gonna make a crab bisque.
Crab bisque. But you cannot make a clam bisque.
You cannot make a clam bisque,
You can call it clam bisque, but
you
it's
can't.
not.
A chef will be like, huh, really? Explain to me how you took the clam shell and saute it to give flavor. Because what happens is clams.
That's a lot of texture in your soup. I broke my tooth on my clam bisque.
I mean, get ready to go to the dentist after you eat your clam bisque.
Yes.
So clams are bivalves, and they have a really thick shell. There's no flavor in there.
Right.
Flavor of the clam is inside of the clam. The clam juice, the clam stomach, all that stuff. And same as lobster, there's a lot of flavor in the flesh, and there's a lot of flavor in the shell. That's why you can use the shell of the shellfish to make a bisque, but you cannot use clams because they are mollusks. They are bivalves. Oysters the same. Mussels the same. You cannot use their shells to make bisque.
No.
It would be
crunchy, to say the least. So there you go. You come to Talking Food. We're teaching you how to make clam chowder today and gave you a talking point at your next dinner party. Did you know?
Did you know? And now clam chowder. So clam chowder is a white base stew. So this is it. This is your clam chowder basics. Your stock, your broth, your potatoes, your clam, your flavorings. Done. What about bay leaf? I snuck it in there. We got you guys looking at it.
The bay leaf?
Yeah, throw a bay leaf. It was with the potatoes.
Oh.
And that's it.
It was hidden bay leaf.
That is your basic clam chowder. Now, the addition of cream came afterwards with the introduction of dairy, which
Aha. Here's our cream.
Heavy cream, I got it. We're gonna add a little bit. Now, cream you really wanna add to the end. You do not want to boil cream. If you boil cream, it will separate and curdle.
Yep.
It will look like you added ricotta cheese into water. Not good eating. So first you're gonna bring it to a boil, you're gonna cook it, and you're gonna just finish your soup with a little bit of heavy cream. That's your typical clam chowder. Now there is the Manhattan clam chowder.
Aha. What's that got in it?
I can hear people go like, "Whoa."
We got New England, we got Manhattan.
Back in 1934, Portuguese immigrants, especially, and actually it's believed that the Manhattan clam chowder came from Rhode Island, where there is a lot of Portuguese immigration throughout the years. Portuguese brought their tomato stews, and it's funny is, tomatoes came from the Americas to Europe. It became super popular in Europe, and then it was brought back to America by the Italian and the Portuguese immigrants. So Portuguese immigrants had a lot of tomato-based stews. And they took the same principle of the clam chowder and they said, like, you know what? I want mine with the tomato-based soup.
Sure.
And they omitted the broth, they used tomatoes, and they omitted the cream. Boom.
And you ended up with Manhattan style,
Manhattan-style clam chowder.
which is a red chowder.
Which is a red chowder. To the point that the neighbor state up in Maine, they became a little bit upset.
They were put off by the Manhattan clam chowder.
Yeah, that in 1939 they passed legislation that to basically certify that chowder is chowder. Pack the cat, and I just left my ringer on.
That's okay.
Woo. Pack the cat and what is it? The Harvard Yard.
Harvard Yard.
I can't do it.
So they said, your tax dollars at work, they came up with legislation saying that the only chowder is the white chowder.
It's the white chowder.
You cannot call the red chowder chowder.
No, sir, you can't.
And it's not even allowed in our area.
That's why they said up there. Now, my opinion is that's a basic recipe. Do it a couple of times, master it, and then do whatever you want. You want to add Italian sausage to it, bacon.
Now you're speaking my language.
There's nothing wrong with that. But a good thing is like always master the basic recipe. Learn where it came from. Understand it. Understand the roots of it, and then modify it to your liking. But once I modify this, now I have to call it Italian sausage bacon clam chowder.
Right.
Because like let's say right now,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put
Yeah.
right now I'm gonna put the corn in there, and I cannot sell it already as a clam chowder.
No.
Because
It's not traditional clam chowder.
If I was sitting down at the restaurant and there a clam chowder that comes with roasted corn, it's like, hey, what's going on here?
Right.
No, this is not clam chowder. It's like the story of the polenta that I went to a restaurant. Oh yeah, we have polenta, fantastic. I'll try it. I love it. And they gave me something that looked like soup. And I asked the waiter, where's the polenta? That's the polenta. I'm like, no, that's not polenta.
That's not polenta. That's cornmeal soup.
That's cornmeal soup. Okay, so I'm gonna try one more time.
Nuclear.
You're blowing it. And it's a little bit of salt,
and pepper.
because we can. Now,
Corn. Not
corn.
yet.
Yeah, why not? Now, this is not anymore a original clam chowder. This is a Chef Carlo clam chowder with roasted corn.
Roasted corn and clam chowder.
Yes, this is a roasted corn clam chowder.
And to roast that corn, you take an entire ear of corn and stick it on a grill. Roast it, get it charred on the outside, and then.
Yes, I mean, if you're using fresh corn, that is the way to do it. If you're using frozen corn also, it can be done. Just make sure, if you're using frozen corn, that your corn is completely defrosted and put it under the salamander. If your corn is not defrosted, it will steam. I have a couple of bits that are like a little too charred.
A little too charry?
Well, because we have a 1700 degree grill in the kitchen. If you're trying to do a couple of things, it will burn. It's like I was trying to tell Andrea in the kitchen, I use a lot of timers. We have timers all over the kitchen, especially if I'm doing 7 things. I went to the dollar store, bought 7 little timers, and I put a timer for everything I'm doing because it helps me to keep track because I have the kitchen going students thinking about the show and stuff like that. So it's really easy to get sidetracked. Now, soup is almost ready. Oh, look at that.
Good, because we almost have 5 minutes left.
5 minutes left?
I know.
Oh, baby, yeah.
You gonna put the cream in, or are you still
Not yet, not yet.
So you want me to go over the
You know what?
upcoming events?
Start with that.
Okay, so from Our State magazine, of course, one
Great
of our favorites,
magazine. I love
our
that
favorites
thing.
magazines out there. They have an amazing calendar online. Our State, look it up. And coming up, since it's the end of September, just a couple things towards the end. Coming up this weekend, especially, you got the Carolina Jubilee. The Harmony Jubilee, I'm sorry, that's September the 29th and 30th, which is this weekend. It's got, let's see, where is it?
What is the Carolina Jubilee?
Oh, it's in Harmony, North Carolina, sorry.
What is the Jubilee?
It's help protected farmland and promote sustainable farming by enjoying good food, beer, and live music. That sounds amazing to me.
You got me a beer.
Yeah, you had me a good
You,
food.
you don't get this you don't get this belly just by drinking water.
That's true. Proceeds will go to the Carolina Farm Trust. So check it out, thecarolinajubilee.org. The Fall Garden Tour at Fuquay Varina. Green grass, sweet flowers, some of the city's best gardens. Complimentary lunch, purchase of a ticket. Check it out, the Fuquay Varina Garden Club, and that's also the next. It's actually next week, all next week.
Oh, okay.
No,
cool.
no, it's September 30th through the 1st. So that's
Yeah,
Friday,
next
Saturday.
week. This weekend.
Yeah. Well, it's the end of the month, right? So we got the Lost Colony Wine Festival in Manio. That's September 29th through 30th. You got some theater events. Center Stage Theater anniversary in Goldsboro. That's the 29th through the 1st.
That's in your town.
I live this close. I'm in Wilson, so.
Oh, Wilson,
and then the
Goldsboro.
Wooden Boat Show in Southport, September 30th. That's.
Oh, that's fun. I've
yeah.
been to that one.
Take a boat ride, watch a boat building demonstration, work your own boat model. Sounds like a fun thing for the kids. And then seafood chowder. See, clam chowder, seafood chowder.
Because we also have a couple of, and then down the coast, everybody will have the variation of clam chowder.
Absolutely.
Oh no, we do it better than the Manhattans. No, there's even a Cape Hatteras clam chowder, which is the same. We just use broth, and they add large diced onion and bacon because we're in North Carolina, and of course, hog is king around here.
It is.
So at this point, I'm going to add a little bit of potato starch. I have about 2 tablespoons of potato starch, which I mix with 2 tablespoons of chicken stock. Why chicken stock? Because it tastes better than water.
And
So-
also, you don't want to just dump your potato starch into your soup because it will clump up.
Correct.
This
So
is why he's mixing it all together.
I'm going to mix it all together, and I'm going to start with 1 tablespoon. And your starch will not achieve complete thickening power until it boils. Once it boils is when you're going to see how nicely thickened the soup is.
Okay.
You see it just thickened a little bit.
Got a few minutes left, Chef.
Sweet.
Can we do it?
Can we? Of course we can do it. What do you think? Of course we can do it. Chowder is ready.
Cream?
Chowder is ready. A little bit of parsley.
We're gonna add
Don't
some
hurt
cream in there?
nobody.
Yes,
Hold
okay. I want to have the cream. I want to see it go, you know.
No,
I'm a big
actually,
fan of like baristas.
actually I'm gonna do something different.
Oh, watch this.
Because what about if Amanda walks in and is like, oh my God, that's a lot of cream. And like, or like, oh, I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh, there you go.
'Cause
So,
you don't know who's coming to taste our soup today.
that's true.
So what about if they're lactose intolerant?
Right.
So let's do this. After I find my ladle.
The ladle.
So it's the nice body that we have here. Look at that beautiful ratio. And then I add just a touch of cream on top of the soup. Just top of the soup, and then a little bit of parsley. And it's served usually with oysters, oyster crackers.
Right.
But we have something better than that.
We do, because you have a baking class.
I do have a baking class, and they made this wonderful bread yesterday. As this one, this is called a fougasse, and they made this wonderful French bread, which I toasted this morning with a little bit of butter, because butter is amazing, and salt and pepper. And I make my nice croutons. And the recipe that we posted online, there's also a recipe on how to make croutons. and just follow it, and you're gonna be completely fine.
Yep,
And
I'll drop the recipe on the Facebook page right after the show.
Thank you. And that's it. That is your very simple, your clam chowder. Now you want to make it spicy. There's nothing that says you cannot add. These are actually late harvest peppers. We're still getting hot peppers here in North Carolina.
Nice.
And you can add now your anything you want to add to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one.
Danke.
Bitte. I think we're out of time.
We are.
aren't we?
We're completely out of time.
Completely out of time. Thank you for watching, guys. Shoot a notice if you need anything, any questions, suggestions. And thank you for watching. And I hope you enjoyed the simplicity of making clam chowder.
Amazing clam chowder. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you. Have a good one.